What's up, my baby witches, newbies, and neophytes of YouTube? It's me, your boy Shane, and welcome back to my channel, as the case may be. Today we need to talk about a magical concept that's a bit problematic and, dare I say, lazy, and that's intention is everything. There are a lot of issues with the idea that intention is everything, and starting with, no, it's not. All right, video over. No, but honestly, I'm gonna start with a personal story. If you watch this channel, you know I like to talk a lot about, the intersection of magic and mental health. It's a big focus of my Patreon as well. And I talk about the ways in which my depression and my experiences with depression, and to a lesser extent anxiety, have kind of colored my witchcraft, right? And one of the examples I use to illustrate this is executive dysfunction, right? I had, for many years, very, very bad executive dysfunction until I got on medication, right? So I've been taking Lexapro since October of 2019. It has literally been life-changing for me. And my doctor and I we struck gold on the first try, and I know that is... not typical and not common, and a lot of people who try medication have to try a number of, different drugs or different dosages or even combinations before they really hit on what's right for them. So if you are pursuing that avenue, please don't get discouraged and don't give up. Like I said, we were just extraordinarily lucky and lightning struck on the very first try, and I know that's atypical, and every single day I thank my gods that I got so lucky. But I digress. So I've been on Lexapro for a little bit more than a year and a half, under 2 years, somewhere in there. And before I was on a regular regimen of medication, I suffered from the worst executive dysfunction, right? So I knew I had things to do. I knew I just... literally couldn't do them. So I would have a day off from work and I'd say, okay, I have the day off from work on Thursday. I'm getting all my laundry done. And I'd wake up on Thursday with the best of intentions, right? I would intend to get my laundry done. I would even bag up I would sort it, turn it, right side out or inside out or whatever you're supposed to do, bag it up, get my detergent, my fabric softener, and all my quarters and bag that up, and I'd sit it at the top of the stairs, and I'd get dressed, and then I'd sit on my couch and stare at that bag at the top of the stairs for 2 or 3 hours. I don't know why I did this. I can't explain it to you, I knew I had to get the laundry done. I knew good and goddamn well that if I didn't do it that day, by the time I was able to do it the next time, I would have run out of, underwear or socks or shirts for work or what have you, right? I knew that the longer I sat there and waited, the more crowded the laundromat was going to get as people got out of school and work and whatever. I knew all of that logically, and I still sat there and wasn't able to get off of my butt and do it. So I struggled with executive dysfunction for a long, long time, right? And even though the medication has been absolutely, a game changer for me, I'm not perfect 100% of my days, right? I have bad days. Sometimes I even have bad weeks. That's normal, right? My doctor even explained that to me when, he had first given me the prescription. He said, if you, it's not supposed to numb you. It's, if upsetting things happen to you, you will still be upset by them, but you will have a regular emotional response, not an exaggerated emotional response, which is cool, right? That's what I wanted, right? I still want to feel feelings. I just want to be able to function in society. So the executive dysfunction was terrible, and, I am mostly free of that now. I'm able to, keep on top of most of the things in my life. But that's why I say intention as a magical concept is kind of lazy, right? Not lazy in that, like, I was lazy because I wasn't doing my laundry or wasn't able to do my dishes or wasn't able to get to the post office to mail packages I really needed to return or whatever. That's not the lazy part, okay? Don't come for me. I'm saying it's magically lazy as a concept because, you know, I sat there staring at that laundry bag and my intention was to do laundry. But intention didn't get my fat ass off the couch and to the laundromat, right? Like, intention didn't wash my clothing. Intention didn't fold it and put it in the drawers, you know, or drive the 2 blocks to the, you know. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I had every intention of doing my laundry, but some days the laundry didn't get done. So at the end of the day, what is that intention worth? Well, my particular intention wasn't worth shit. It wasn't. And I talk about this in another video. I think it's called, I do like a product review of quadrivium oils, and then I talk about how, you know, the witch's word is law, or the witch's word has to be law. It has to, you know, your word as a witch has to have the validity of a signed and witnessed oath. I forget where I read that particular phrase, but I am in love with it. You know, because if you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, you are teaching whatever you believe, right? The universe, or your gods, or your ancestors, or your magic, or your subconscious, your deep mind, right? Whatever it is that you think that is enacting the magic, making the magic to happen, you are training the powers that be not to listen to you, right? If you think about it. If you say, I'm going to do laundry, and then you don't do laundry, or I'm going to clean the bathroom, and then you don't clean the bathroom, or I'm going to reply to that email by 5 p.m., and then you don't do those things, you know, you're teaching your deep mind or your gods or etc., you know, that your word doesn't mean very much. So when you say, so mote it be, or when you say, you know, as I will, or as you say, you know, when you say whatever, I will find a lover. I will, you know, get hired at a job that pays me X amount a year, whatever. Your gods or your ancestors or your deep subconscious mind is going to laugh and be like, all right, that's cute. But you also said X, Y, and Z, and none of those things came to pass. So intention alone, like I said, it's magically lazy. And sometimes your intention ain't shit. You know, unless you also, you know, you have to finish what you start. So intention is great. You know, intention is the beginning of the process, but it's not the entire process, right? It's no substitute for doing the work, you know? So I just, you know, I hear all these people, this is going to make so many people mad. I see people on Facebook and TikTok and Twitter, and they're like, oh, I set my intentions for the new moon. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? You know, put on your big boy pants or your big girl pants or your big non-binary pants on and finish the job. Cast the spell, okay? You stated your intention. That's wonderful. Now, perform the magic. Cast the spell. Make the doctor's appointment. Sign up for a dating service. Scour the internet for want ads and update your resume. Do the things, okay? You can't just say, well, you know, it was my intention and I'm going to manifest it. No, that's step 1, but what about steps 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you know? So I don't know. I think, you know, I just think it's magically lazy, right? I think you say, well, you know, I put that intention out into the universe, and then you get to sit back and kind of pat yourself on the back and think that your job is done. It isn't. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, you know, correspondences exist for a reason. And I think the intention is everything crowd, or, you know, the intention is everything concept, which I have to be honest, like every time I hear intention is everything, this is immediately what I see in my mind. I think it started from a good place. I think it came from a genuinely good intention, if you will. Because there was a period of time, and, you know, maybe it's not limited to a time period. Maybe it's not limited to, like, the 90s or the early 2000s. Maybe this is just like a, you know, all newer witches or all, people living under late stage capitalism are all whatever, right? With the zeal of the newly converted. I think it grew as a reaction against, this messaging that in order to be a witch, we have to buy all the things, right? And I've talked about this before. You absolutely do not have to. But I think, in the beginning, there is such a desire or such a drive to like go out and get all these different color candles, all these different color herbs. All these different type of herbs, all these different types of crystals. We start out, we want to buy every single tool. We want a super expensive, thami, and we want a fancy wand, and we want, a silver plated cup, and we want, all this gear, right? And the gear is fun, right? So for the most part, the gear is harmless, right? Until you start to feel the pressure to buy like silver plated, inlaid with moonstones and amethyst precious gems and, whatever. Until it gets to that point, the gear is fun, it's harmless. We all love pretty shiny things. But I think the whole intention is everything concept grew out of this, desire to tell people like, hey, you don't have to hit the gas like that. Until you save up, or until you know what you actually want, this $5 cup from the thrift store is totally legitimate. This tree branch that fell during the last storm that you found in your backyard and whittled down to be a wand is perfectly, actually, that's beautiful. We've already talked about, there's so many books that talk about how fashioning your own tools is way more powerful than anything you can buy at the mall, right? You don't need to hear me blab on about it for 5 minutes. I probably will anyway. But yeah, that's good enough. And I hate that, but for lack of a better term, right? And, until you can, get a super fancy athami, if that's what you even want, you can use a basic whatever. If you don't have these things on hand, just substitute this, because your intention is everything. So there it is. I think it grew out of a good, again, a positive and a genuine intention to reassure people that their witchcraft is good enough. And that's great. That is, worthy of hearing. That's worthy of being said, and you don't need fancy, expensive tools, right? And it's true. The intention that you put in, when you whittle down that wand and you oil it or you paint it or you wrap copper wire around it or add gemstones or feathers or whatever you do to make it yours and make it, special to you and make it, evoke that magical wonder and that feeling and that connection to you. Is, again, that's far better than any store-bought thing that you're just going to pick up and cleanse and immediately start using, right? Cool. So I think the intention is everything grew out of that desire to assuage people that like, hey man, you don't have to go out and clear out the local new age shop of every single freaking crystal that they stock, in the beginning. Just use a plain quartz crystal and program it for whatever you want, because intention is everything. So is that even true? Well, like I said, correspondences exist for a reason. And I have seen lately, again, primarily on TikTok, which I have a love-hate relationship with. Like, I think a lot of it's garbage. There's some good information on there. I think a lot of it's garbage, and I can't stop watching it. Some of it's hate watching. Some of it's just like a train wreck. You can't tear your eyes away. And some of it's legitimately good. But good or bad or otherwise, I think we have to square ourselves with the fact that, like, the upcoming witches of the next generation, this is where they're getting their intel from, right? Like, kind of gone are the days where we went to, like, the local shop and, bought books and whatever. But I digress. So, a lot of things that I've been seeing on TikTok and YouTube lately talk about how, like, oh, if you don't have colored candles, a white candle can substitute in for any spell. And if you don't have, all these different herbs, you can substitute rosemary for any herb. And if you don't have, a lot of crystals, you can substitute clear quartz crystal for any other crystal. So I would be careful with that, and this is why. Like I said, correspondences exist for a reason, and I think we need to be purposeful when we do these things. So yes, a white candle can substitute in for any other color candle. If you don't have a blue candle right now, if you don't have a green candle and you want to do some prosperity magic, if you don't have a red candle, yada, 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 fine, use a white candle. But you have to understand why. It's important to understand the theory behind, why we're doing these things, okay? White is polychromatic, right? The color white, and I put it in quotes, in my air quotes, because white is not a color at all, right? White is a polychromatic color, which means it contains all of the wavelengths of visible light, visible colors. So the color white contains red. It contains green. It contains purple and yellow and blue and everything, right? The primary and secondary and tertiary colors, all those beautiful combinations, right? The entire color wheel, okay? White contains all of that within it. That is what makes it okay, right? Or I'll say that's what makes it magically sound to use white as a substitute candle if you don't have an orange candle or a brown candle or a yellow candle, okay? That's what makes it make sense. I don't know what would make it make sense to use rosemary to substitute, for any old herb. I don't understand the rationale behind that. Rosemary has a lot of different uses. Has a lot of different associations, but not all of them. So, I wouldn't say that that's a one and done. So I think it's really important when we're going to make substitutions like that we understand the theory behind why we're doing it. So, because again, there has to be there has to be a reason. And I wouldn't take a blue candle and say like, oh, it's okay that it's, that it's blue and not red for this love spell because my intention is everything. When the fact of the matter is, right, our eyes take in hundreds of pieces of information per minute that we are aware of, and thousands of pieces of information per minute that we're unaware of. That's why everyone suffers from some form of unconscious bias, right? Most of us are not, purposefully racist or purposefully sexist or purposefully, homophobic or what have you, right? But our eyes are taking in thousands of more pieces of information per minute than we can even, process at the forefront of our brains. So sometimes we are doing things and we are unaware of them. So if you've ever seen this kind of game on the internet, for accessibility, I'll just tell you what's going on here. It's the word blue, but the letters are in red. It's the word green, but the letters are printed in yellow, and so on and so forth, all right? So there's 9 examples. And in this game, they tell you like, oh, as fast as you can, read the words on your screen. So you're like, tripping over yourself because what your brain wants to do is announce the color that you see and not the color that is written down. And I mean, give it a go. Like, try it right now. It is a lot harder than you think it's going to be. Then you know how hard it can be to look at a thing and to try to tell your mind that it is something else. So, no, I wouldn't use a blue candle for a love spell when we have it so ingrained in us culturally that the color of love is red. And I wouldn't use a blue candle for a prosperity spell when we have it so culturally ingrained in us that the color of prosperity is green, at least in the United States, where our money is monochromatic and boring, right? So, correspondences exist for a reason. And I don't think we can just sub in all sorts of crazy stuff willy-nilly and tell ourselves that, it's okay because intention is everything. To that end, I will say, hey, sometimes no tool is better than a bad tool. If you're going to use something that you don't jive with, or that you think is ugly, it's not aesthetically pleasing to you, it doesn't really work, in terms of magical correspondence to you, then don't use anything. Because your deep mind is going to block you, and it's going to block your success, because you're just going to be kind of wrapped up in the fact that, it's not a great wand, but it's better than nothing, right? This book said I needed a wand, so I guess I'll use this ugly stick. If it's going to bother you, if it's going to hinder your magic, if it's going to, turn you off, then sometimes no tool is better than a bad tool. That's just my 2 cents. So, let me know what you think. Do you agree with that? Do you, do you feel like intention should get more credit than what I'm giving it? I would love to hear from you in the comments. As I've said in previous videos, I love to have these conversations, to initiate these conversations, to kind of bounce ideas back and forth amongst you guys. And also, if you like the content, I don't say this often enough because self-promotion is hard, but please hit like and subscribe to the channel. Maybe share the video with a magically minded friend that you think might get something out of it. Apparently there's a little bell icon that you can click. It will send you notifications. I try to upload a video once a week or so. Sometimes life gets in the way, so it's a little inconsistent. So maybe you want to turn on notifications and be made aware when I have shaken my fist in impotent fury and yelled at the internet for 20 minutes. All right, but thank you so much for watching, and until next time, kids, take care of yourselves and each other.